Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Elevate Your Life podcast. My name is Paul Croto, I think, and I'm here with the magnificent. That's the word of the day, Cheryl. Magnificent Cheryl Morley.
Oh my gosh! Hello, and I love that you said Paul. My name is Paul Croto. I think.
I'm like, wasn't even sure what the name of the pod. I'm so worried about the timer here. I'm setting the timer to make sure that we're on point here. I'm like, well, what is the name of our podcast again? What are we talking about?
Well, wait, but the way you said it sounds like you don't know your own name.
Yeah, I didn't even know the name of the podcast
Croto,
either. So yeah, this should be an interesting 20 minutes here.
That's exactly.
What we're going to do here in podcast number 69, while we're moving right along here, is we're continuing a mindset course. So it sounds like a marketing course, business course, but it's what we're doing is the mindset behind the whole thing. So we're doing the mindset behind marketing online. We're doing lesson number 7 today, which is lead qualification. So we've been having this whole series. If you missed any of the first 6, you missed a lot, because this was a really intensive series we put together, Cheryl. I know we have 3 or 4 left after this to get through the whole thing, but let's talk about, so we're at lead qualification, before we even get lead qualification, we got to get lead generation. So what are some of the old ways? And we're going to date ourselves right now, and people are going to laugh at us. But 25 years ago, we didn't have what everyone has today. I mean, it was like, we had to walk, uphill both ways to school, and things were super difficult for us.
In the snow, Paul.
In the snow, yeah. So what were the old ways that we did, Cheryl, to get people in the funnel 25 years ago?
Well, there were a few of them here, and they now that I'm looking at it, they seem awfully hard, Paul. Like put an ad in the newspaper.
And I did that a lot.
Yeah.
In the job section there.
You bet. Put an ad in the yellow pages.
Sure, of course you. Do they even have yellow pages anymore? Like, I don't think I've gotten a yellow pages in years.
I have no idea if they do. I haven't seen them. Put commercials on the radio.
Well, that was your big one, Cheryl. I mean, you got all the people coming to your events from radio ads, right?
Yeah, radio and TV ads.
Wow.
Yes, radio
and now
and TV
with
ads.
The remote, I mean, this has been going on in the past, 10 years or 15 years or whatever. People don't even watch commercials. I mean, if I do watch something on TV, it's either a series that has no commercials, or I recorded the show and I've got the remote in my hand, fast forwarding through the commercials. I never watch a commercial anymore.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure I don't watch a commercial because I think that wastes time. Yeah, so that's not going to work. And then Paul, like my absolute favorite, are you kidding me? Dialing people in the white pages.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Open up the A.
Yeah.
That's
started.
How people did it. That's how we did it back then.
Oh my gosh.
You need a list of people to call. Here you go. It would be like, that white pages thing would be like 6 or 7 inches thick, and it was just in the thinnest paper possible to print on, so there was no shortage of phone numbers and people to call. So,
right.
Good times.
Yeah.
So what are the new ways that we get people into our funnel today? We don't run TV ads or radio ads anymore. What are some of the modern things to do to get people into your funnel?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, Paul, the number 1 is connecting with people through social media. I mean, there's more people on social media today than ever before. So that to me is the easiest way to reach out and reach the most amount of people quickly, I guess. Another one, which I still think is absolutely fantastic, is referrals or word of mouth. I mean, that to me is, I don't know. I think that's what life's all about.
Yeah, that's made the business, the world turn around for years and years, and so referrals is still the bread and butter that you should be focusing on to get people into your funnel.
Right, exactly. And then next we've got YouTube ads.
Yeah, those are huge.
So you can put ads on YouTube. You can also put ads on Google and Facebook and Instagram. Right. Yeah. So all of the different, so really it's social media, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, so the average person, we looked this up, Cheryl, and I'm still horrified by this number. But the average person spends 2 hours and 27 minutes per day on social media. And that's the average. I know there's people that don't spend any. So that means other people out there are spending, 5 hours a day on social media.
Right. I mean, well, someone's got to be spending more because I'm not spending that much time at all. Paul, you're constantly trying to get me more onto social media.
Yeah. I'm like, Shaw, I made all these posts. You never comment on them. You never like them.
Did you see them? I'm like, what?
I'm sending you Instagram messages like 9 weeks has gone by since you saw the last one. Maybe I should just
exactly. Yeah, right. Well, and then we've got another place that we can get people into our funnel is trade events. And you know what? That's true, Paul. But guess what? That was stopped for like a couple of years, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's not the best use of your time when you have social media out there. It's better to do that. But you can. There's nothing that beats face-to-face handshakes and meeting people. That's still just a fantastic way. And I think we need to get more into that. Because people love that human interaction in person. And last but not least, Cheryl, there's podcasts. So one of the way we get people into our funnel is we bribe you by offering you notes to this podcast. If you want the notes to this podcast, you can click on below, click here to get the notes to the podcast, and you got to put in your name and email address, which gets you into our funnel, and then you get the notes to the podcast. So it's just a way of getting people into your funnel, and you got thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people into our funnel by doing that. So that's one way of doing things. So you have to set a goal on how many people you want to get into your funnel. So every week I want to get 10 new people into my funnel. There's 10 names that I need to see every Saturday that, hey, what did I do from Monday to Friday? Did I get my 10 names in? If I do that, it averages out to be about 42 a month. Depending on the length of the month. And then the master number is 500 a year. So there's 500 new names I have on my list of people I've connected with. And of course, everything's a numbers game. You have 500, half of them don't want anything to do with me. And then another half, whatever I did show them, they're not interested. So it's getting down. And by the end of the year though, I have, 10%, 50 people out of the 500 that are really good. And I've made, so that's the way you get 50 great people on your team or 50 new people is starting with 500.
Right. Which is crazy because it's like, well, can't I just get 50? Yes, you can, but but a lot of people are going to have to go through the funnel for you to get 50. Right. Yeah. And so I think that's super important to keep in mind. It's really, I think it really is a numbers game.
Yeah, absolutely. You're never going to find 50 people by having a funnel or putting 100 people in your funnel. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
What really interests me, Cheryl, is this next part, which we're going to spend the final minutes of our podcast on here. And that's what are we doing once we get someone into the funnel? I saw this years and years and years ago. It made a huge impact on me, completely changed my behavior from the moment I saw this on. That I was going to be part of that 10%. But let's just go through each of these numbers, Cheryl, because this is just mind blowing on the sales statistics out there. Doesn't matter what industry you're in.
All right, perfect. So the first one, 40, or this is so interesting to me because, so pay close attention because when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh. So 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. And Paul, that was super hard for me.
I was just going to say, well, thank God you were never part of the 48%, Cheryl.
I was the 48%, Paul. I was the 48%. I got that number up that high, right? So it's super important to follow up. I know Dr. Wallach always used to tell me, Cheryl, you need to tattoo follow up on your forehead. So every time you look in the mirror, you can see what's most important.
That would have looked funny if you actually did that, but
yeah. Well, I might.
It's
might do it, Paul.
Yeah, after this podcast, you probably will. Yeah.
Okay, 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. So we've got 48 that never follow up. We've got 25% of salespeople who make a second contact and stop. So they're like, okay, 2 times, that's it. Somebody probably said something, probably breathed the sigh of, why are you calling me? And that was it.
Yeah.
Right. And then we go to 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop.
Okay, so we're
my
at
goodness,
90% now.
we're dropping. We
got 90% of the salespeople out there make 3 or less calls.
Okay, and only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts.
Wow.
10%.
10%.
That's a small amount.
Super small.
Now let's find out what happens as you do make contact, right? Or as you don't make contact.
Right.
One or the other. So 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 2%. 2. Right? So that's crazy. So 3% of sales are made on the second contact. We're slowly climbing 1% at a time. 5% of sales are made on the third contact.
So now we have 10% of all sales. So if you have the 5, the 3, and the 2 are made by the third contact, but only 12% of people make 3 contacts.
Right.
So it's so bad, Sorry, I didn't mean.
Yeah.
I just
No,
mind
that's
blowing
fine.
how bad this is.
Yeah, it is. So 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact. So only 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact. And all the others are super lower. They're much lower. So 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. And let me tell you, Paul, you know who understands this very well? Beer commercials.
Yeah.
Can I see another beer commercial? That's all I see. Right? Or an alcohol commercial or a drug commercial.
Yep.
Yeah, over and over and over and over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, stop. Right?
Well, I read a super interesting article on Forbes about American Express. And they know that the first 5 letters they send you in the mail have no shot of being open. And then the 6th maybe gets open, you throw it away. And then the 7th. But the number of people who get an American Express card on the 12th letter they get is just astronomically high. But they didn't send the first 11. They would have never got to number 12 and had all those people sign up. So it's just, this is the typical process that people go through to enroll into something or get, to make a purchase or to get involved in something.
It sounds, Paul, like some of those texts I get. Oh my gosh.
Keep hitting them.
Oh my gosh.
Keep hitting them.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we know exactly what Dr. Wallach said, don't we? The fortune is in the follow-up.
Yeah.
I've known this for years and years and years and years. And I had to get past this whole idea of why. I had to figure it out. And I think it would be best if you guys figure out, if you're not following up, why. What are you afraid of? And make it fun and make it become one of the most important things you do in your life. And I do believe it'll change your life.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. So it's just the main point we want to drive home in this short podcast here is that you got to make follow-up a super high priority in your life. We just talked the last leadership podcast we did last Thursday was about the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your income, your success is going to come from 20% of your actions. And that part of that 20% is absolutely follow-up. It is, like you said, the fortune's in the follow-up. So now keep in mind that once you get someone in, someone's actually bought your product or service, that's not the end of the funnel. That's not like the end all be all goal here. So when someone joins your program, your product, it's not the end of the funnel. So what we're going to do in our next podcast, Cheryl, and we do these mindset podcasts every Tuesday, is we'll talk more about, okay, they're in now. Now we got to get the retention rates up. Are they continuing to order from us? What could we upsell them? Like what are some ideas or some things you have that, okay, these people are in, what else, once they come in, if you got a great product, and I know we've seen this a lot, Cheryl, in our business, once someone experiences a great result from a product, they want to know, well, what else you got? If Cheryl gave me that product and it works so well, let me go ask her if she's got something else that works just as good.
Sure. Absolutely. I think that's super important. And, people are more willing if you help them and you're there, they get into your funnel and they've tried your product or they've tried your service, whatever it is, and you've started to build that relationship, they're much more likely to buy from you again. And
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
that's
I don't know the
super
exact
important to
stats on this,
remember.
but if you had to choose between trying to go get a new person to buy into you and your products, or get someone who's already satisfied with one of your products to buy another product, it's just like 500% to zero. I mean, it just, it's so much more wise to take care of the clients you have, and they're going to want to not only continue to repurchase from you, but buy other things from you. And probably more importantly, Cheryl, recommend you to other people, which is going to drive the referrals.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's super important to remember too. Yeah, that the referrals are just, I mean, we have people, Paul, on our teams that's the only way they do business, right? Is by referrals. So it's super important.
Yeah. I mean, out of the 100,000 or more people you have ordering every month now, Cheryl, how many exactly of that did you personally bring in? You personally enrolled?
I think like 4 or 5.
Yeah. She's exaggerating a little bit. She's brought in hundreds, but it's small. It's a drop in the bucket for sure. Where 99% of all those people are coming from referrals from other people.
Absolutely.
It isn't necessarily the direct contact. So we'll go into that heavily in our next podcast and talk about those things. But Cheryl, I just thought these sales statistics were so interesting, and I hope people grasp this and be like, I am going to be dedicated now to be part of that 10% who makes 3 or more contacts and keep on people. I always said, and I heard this when I first started out in business. I heard from another guy saying this, and it kind of became my joke or my mantra here. And that's, I'll continue to call you until you call the police and report me and put a restraining order on me. They're like, well, Paul, when do you stop calling people? I'm like, when they call the police and put a restraining order on me. Does not actually ever happen. But that's my point, is I'm going to continue to follow up, because the person that does the most follow-ups is going to win.
All right. And I think the follow-up, Paul's a muscle. And I think the more we use it, the easier it gets and the more comfortable you will become with it. But it is very important. It is, the most important thing.
Yeah, it's a huge skill, so the real key to follow up, in my opinion, is setting that appointment before you hang up the phone. So like,
right.
if you're talking with someone, you meet with someone like, hey, Cheryl, when can we get together, and go over whatever we just went over, or get back together. And so I get how about next, I don't care when it is, like, well, I'm busy over the weekend, so how about next Thursday? Fine, great. What time next Thursday is good for you? Oh, 4:00. Super, great. Same time. Talk to you then. So I already have it in my Google Calendar, and that's why I become so great at follow-up, is because I always have that follow-up appointment scheduled before I even hang up the phone from the current appointment that I'm on.
Right.
Right. So
that's absolutely.
That's the key.
Most important.
All right. Awesome, Cheryl. This was great content. And I think we drove the point home. So hopefully everybody got some value out of this, and we're always here to help you elevate your life.
Yes.
And move from fine to fabulous.
That's right.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next week on our Elevate Your Mindset podcast next Tuesday. Until then, have a great day.
Bye, you guys.